Good afternoon, everyone. Does anybody here remember Bazooka bubblegum? Little hard squares of bubblegum, but they all came with a little comic inside of it. I don't remember my theology, but I remember my comics. The comic said, "When were all children born?" On Labor Day. Oh, yeah. It's a dad joke, but you call me father, so I'm allowed. Oh, look, I have like 8 pages of notes up here. Some of these are not mine. Growing up, I think we all make plans. We have our life mapped out for us. At least I know I did. Growing up through grade school and high school, I was going to be a veterinarian. That was what my goal was going to be. And I think part of it was because my parents didn't allow me to have animals. So I thought this was my way of getting back at them. So I took, those little tests that tell you what your aptitudes are, and everything looked all right and good. So towards the end of my senior year in high school, the beginning of my freshman year in college, my mother died. And so I couldn't go to Ohio State University to study veterinary medicine because I had to stay home and take care of my dad. And that was okay, well and good. I looked into the University of Toledo, where I'm from, and decided to go into pharmacy. Toledo University had one of the top 5 pharmacy schools. And so I started going into, there was a 5-year program. I went 4 years, and then I took a semester off. That lasted 8 years. And during that time, I was working in the grocery store, and I was working my way up through the various departments, and I was a bookkeeper and started to write policies and procedures for the 77 stores that we had. It was in my mid-20s that this idea of priesthood started to settle with me. I thought, okay, let me look into it. I could be a priest, live in Toledo, still be around my family and friends. Oh, Lord, I don't know why God sent me to Texas. I mean, my plans were all set, and they wasn't exactly what God wanted. Well, I thought of that when I was reading that first reading from the prophet Jeremiah, because I'm sure, like us, Jeremiah had his plans too. His father was a priest in the temple. And his father's job was to offer sacrifices and slaughter the animals. And so Jeremiah probably figured out that's what he was going to do as well. But then God said to him, "I want you to be a prophet." And many of us know Jeremiah's first words. "Not I, Lord, I'm too young." God says, "Don't say I'm too young. I'm going to be faithful to you. I am going to put my words in your mouth. You're going to be okay. But I need you to be a prophet." So Jeremiah says yes. Unfortunately, it wasn't exactly how Jeremiah thought it was going to be. Jeremiah kind of thought he was going to tell everyone, God loves you, you're doing well. But that's not the message that he was called to say. He was called to tell the people to change your ways, convert, start living better. Words that none of us like to hear because we think we're all doing okay. And the people hated it so much that they tried to kill Jeremiah a number of times. And that's where the first reading kicks in. You tricked me, Lord. You tricked me. And I let myself be tricked by you. You said you were going to put your words in my mouth, that you were going to be faithful. And all I get is to preach doom and destruction. I don't know about you, but I've said those words to God many times throughout my life. You tricked me. I thought it was going to be easy. We get baptized, we make our first communion, we have confession. Christianity is easy. You tricked me, Lord, because it's not. Even going up into seminary, I knew that God loved me, and I knew God's promise to us through Christ was to be faithful. but it's still a difficult journey. Right before my solemn vows, so 7 years as living as a Franciscan, we were about 2 months away from solemn vows, and my 2 classmates decided they were going to leave. All of a sudden, I started to have doubts, and I started to say, God, this isn't really where you wanted me, is it? This isn't what it's supposed to be like. And so I did what a lot of us do when we're faced with these kind of different decisions and choices we have to make. I made 2 lists, one why I should leave and one while I should stay. And the one I should leave was a full page. It was about, I get a job, have my own money, have my own cars, have a relationship, have kids. It was a full notebook page of reasons I should leave. The reasons I should stay had about 5 lines, and that was it. And I prayed with them. And as I prayed with them, I found that the reasons I should leave, I became anxious. These were all the things that the world could offer me, and something just wasn't settling right with my spirit. And I prayed with the reasons to stay, and as few of reasons as I saw at that time, it was peaceful. So I made my solemn vows 30 years ago. And throughout those 30 years, there are still times that I say, Lord, you tricked me. There's mountains in my life that I don't think I can get through. You know what? He's been faithful. He gets me through. Sometimes there's scars involved. Sometimes there's things I don't want to deal with. But he is faithful. And I think that's the message for us today. When we look at our own lives and we see what's going on in our world, the political unrest, the racial discrimination, the chaos that we see every time we turn on the news or read the paper. And we have to remember God's faithfulness to us. That Jesus says, I will be with you always, and I will not leave you orphan. I didn't promise you that it was going to be easy, but I promised you that I would be with you through it all. And Jesus showed us what it costs to be obedient to the Father, that we can do it, that we need to live out God's commandments in our own lives. Being a follower of Jesus involves sacrifice. Our human nature does not like that. Jesus calls us to be patient with those people who annoy us. We're called to forgive those people who have wronged us. We are called to turn the other cheek, but not be doormats to others. We're called to see others as created in the image and likeness of God. It's a difficult journey, but God doesn't promise that it's going to be easy, but he promises that he will be faithful to us and will not desert us. Mother Teresa, there's a saying ascribed to her. I don't know how true it is, but I like it because it makes sense to me. It said that God does not require that we be successful, only faithful. Question for us today is, will we remain faithful to what God asks of us whenever he asks or not?